This episode of Film Live TV is brought to you by Birmingham Film Studios. Located in the heart of the UK, they cater to all your production needs, all under one roof. Check them out at birminghamfilmstudios.co.uk. Okay, we're still on the Sony stand, and undoubtedly the talk of IBC is the new Sony FS7. Here to tell us a little bit more about it is Ulrich Mors. Is this the replacement of the FS700, or what is going on?
I don't think it's a replacement, because it's a different kind of to work with, because it's a one-man shoulder camera.
Yep.
So probably a thing that a lot of people always wanted to have. So people are tired of these little boxes with a display and an additional viewfinder from a third-party vendor, etc., etc. So people wanted to have a camera with a dedicated viewfinder.
A proper camera.
Proper camera, proper shoulder, proper work with included codecs, no external recording. And I think this is exactly what the FS7 is.
Yeah. So it certainly looks a hell of a lot different from the FS700, which I think is fair to say is a little bit controversial in its design choice. Talk us through a little bit about this camera. How is it set aside from that, and what kind of features do we expect from this camera?
This camera is less a scenic production camera. It's aimed for a one-person cameraman or one-person team. So actually it should be on the shoulder, of course. There should be choices of lenses, motorized zoom. So people are tired in the one-man business with adding motors to it or rigs. So this is, for example, the main problem. If you have a small S35 camera, whatever camera this is, you have to rig it to use it. And so this is the first step into going to different cameras that you can carry on your own and use it on your own. So for example, one of the absolute highlights is on the other side. It's this hand grip. So if you buy, for example, at the third-party vendors, you can buy wooden grips with a record button or something. So this thing is much, much more to it. It's, of course, a hand grip. It's a zoom rocker. It's a menu system inside. There's an iris ring for making focus or for making iris. So actually you can configure it as you want, and it's just a small cable. So you can even put it on a jib and just make a longer cable to it and have the remote on the back side. So that's fantastic. On the back there's something special. Let's turn it around. Usually if you get the FS7 out of the box, the camera ends here. And you put a small little BPU battery. Everybody knows these from the EX1 cameras, those little batteries. You can place it directly inside, and you have a very small handheld shoulder camera, very lightweight camera. That's important for many people, and many people don't need timecode and they don't need Genlock and all these things. But if you want to make the camera more balanced, if you want the camera more professional, battery-wise, you put this little thingy on it. This is an additional connector for V-mount lenses, but it's also carrying Apple ProRes encoder inside. So actually the signal goes to the Apple ProRes encoder, it goes back to the cards, and by just hooking up this unit you can record to XAVC, XDCAM and Apple ProRes, and it brings all professional timecode connections and even a raw output on the backside without wasting any other plug.
And without this unit, what recording options do you have? Can you still record 4K without the unit?
Yeah, that's the main difference to the FS700. The FS700 was limited to HD recording internally, and the only way of getting to the 4K sensor was going the raw signal path. In this camera you have 4K recording internally, also Quad HD. So most people don't know the difference between Quad HD and 4K. Quad HD is 16:9 and 4K Cinema is 17:9. So both formats will be, I think, in the next firmware version. Now it's Quad HD, next firmware version will be 4K.
So that's quite interesting, and it's not a UHD camera, it's a full 4K.
Yeah, the sensor is 17:9. 4K sensor, but of course you can go the TV-like Quad HD, but you can also go the cinema-like 4K. So the codecs inside is XAVC in different kinds. Perhaps you can have a look on it on the display in a few minutes. There are different codecs in the camera, starting with the very popular XTCam HD. So if you want to replace, let's say, a PXW-FS7 with this look, you can do it by switching to XTCam HD, 4:2 of course. And the next steps are XAVC in different formats. So for example with intra, single frame recording, or with long op recording, which takes less space on the card.
We've got one lens on here. I believe there's a couple of different options for these power zoom lenses that can go onto the camera. But one of the things that I quite liked is there's a little zoom rocker on the lens itself.
Yes. Nobody knows this exactly. This is not only a video lens, this is also a photo lens. So it's a full frame photo lens. So you can put it, for example, on the Alpha 7S, but the Alpha 7S doesn't have a zoom rocker. And this zoom is motorized, so there's a ring motor internally. So you can use this little zoom button, zoom rocker for zooming. But also the zoom is controlled via the hand grip itself. And this lens is featuring 28 to 135 millimeters with a full f4 through the whole range. So this is probably what most handheld cameramen with S35mm sensors are missing. They're missing lenses with motors, they're missing lenses with autofocus on these cameras, they're missing lenses with a nice zoom range, and this is 28 to 135, so it's roughly 4 to 5 times zoom, with an f4 through the whole range. I think it's a nice combination with this camera because it's something to start with. And if somebody needs to know, have prime lenses, they can change it because this is alpha lens system with the E-mount on this camera. E-mount is the S35, alpha is smaller or even full format. The FS700 records 2 XQD cards, and these XQD cards are now at 400 megabytes per second. SBS cards have proven in the professional lines, of course, but meanwhile those cards are very fast. They are up to 400 megabytes per second, so they have a huge headroom for these recordings, and this is why Sony decided to use them inside. And you can even make a double recording with the camera, so you can use 2 of them, record to both cards, hand one to your customer, keep one for your editing or for your archive options, and go with this one.
Okay, so I believe there's going to be a couple of options. We're going to be able to get the body only, and then also with the lens that we see here, with the option for additional lenses as well. And then the box on the back is an optional upgrade as well. So can you tell us what the prices are for these different items, and what's the availability for this as well?
You can break it down into 3 parts. It's the camera including the viewfinder and the grip. That's roughly 7,300 euros. And the lens itself is about 2,300 euros. There will be a bundle of both camera including viewfinder, grip and lens. And the V-mount adaptation with the internal ProRes encoding and outputs and inputs is 1,800 euros. The very first units will start shipping in October, ramping up till end of this year.
Brilliant. So there we have it, some interesting new cameras from the Sony stand. As always, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below or on Facebook and Twitter. We're going to head out now to the rest of the show and see what other exciting things we can find. Okay. So when can we expect to get our hands on these cameras?